G'day collectors, Rob here for another episode of Aussie Diecast Reviews. Hope you're all doing well and I hope you're enjoying the show. So for today's review, we're staying in the theme of the Ford brand and the Ford factory team cars for the next few episodes. And if you're a Holden supporter, I do apologise, but trust me, there'll be plenty of Holden reviews for the people who support red cars. But for today, this is a very important car for Ford fans, since unfortunately Ford decided to pull all financial support from the series. And also this is a new car for my collection, so I'm pretty keen on reviewing it. So for episode 15 we'll be looking at a car from, well, not that long ago, actually the 2015 era of the V8 Supercar Championship, or the Supercar Championship. And we'll also be reviewing, as I said, a Ford V8 Supercar model, plus we'll be reviewing a Mark Winterbottom model for the first time as well. And as always, I'll give my honest review and opinion about the model, so that's what we'll be looking at today. So let's get stuck into it and I'll kick it off and we'll be reviewing this car here. Sweet. Okay, so here we have a 118 Apex Replicars diecast model car. Actually, is this actually no, it's resin, sorry, it's resin. Anyway, the Ford FGX Ford Falcon V8 Supercar. The team is Ford Performance Racing, or Prodrive Racing Australia, and the driver is Mark Winterbottom. This model is based off the 2015 Sydney 500 and 2015 Supercar Championship winning car. This model is the championship winning model, and it is part of the Championship Winners Collection, Ford Collection, and I guess you could say the FPR Collection and Prodrive Racing Collection and the Mark Winterbottom Collection. That's a lot of collections. So if you were watching the previous episode, I was talking about Glenn Seaton Racing and how it became Ford Performance Racing or Prodrive Racing. So as I said, in early 2003, Prodrive purchased Glenn Seaton Racing and it was renamed Ford Performance Racing as a part to push the link between Prodrive owned Ford Performance vehicles, that was the road car range, to the popular V8 Supercars. Along with this renaming came a huge expansion program. The team expanded from one car, driven by Glenn Seaton, to three, Craig Lowndes and David Bernard, I'm pretty sure it was. The team also moved into a new headquarters adjacent to the Ford Performance Vehicle Factory in Campbellfield in Melbourne, and the crew expanded as well. The third car was entered using Rod Nash racing entitlements. While other Ford teams have received major Ford support in the years past, FPR would become the first official Ford factory team since 1962 to 1973. But the team's early years were somewhat disappointing, given the fact the team was, one of the best funded V8 teams in the field. Lowndes had his moments, including a round win at Phillip Island and a second place at Bathurst 1000, driving with Glenn Seaton. But Lowndes would finish the year in 5th position, with Glenn Seaton and David Bernard well down the order. Then in 2004, the team downsized to two cars. Lowndes and Seaton both had disappointing years, plagued with engine dramas and a lack of test days and just a lack of data. While the pair did start to find some pace at the end of the year, they finished second at Bathurst again. They both decided to move on at the end of the year of 2004. Lowndes went to Triple 8 Racing, and I think Glenn Seaton went to Dick Johnson Racing in 2005. And 2005 wasn't such a good year for FPR as well. Then in 2006, a young Mark Winterbottom joined the team with Jason Bright. Winterbottom enjoyed a very consistent run through the year, finishing third in the championship. The pair also won the Sandown 500 in 2006. And FPR actually comes second in the team's championship behind HSV dealer team that year. So yeah, 2006 was a big year. Then over the years, the team was showing good form, a lot of race wins, a lot of podiums. Then eventually in January 2013, the team was sold by Prodrive to Rusty French and Rod Nash Racing in the 2013 season. In 2013, Mark Winterbottom and Stephen Richards won the 2013 Bathurst 1000 in the Ford FG Falcon. Then FPR signed Chaz Mostert for the 2014 season, replacing Will Davison. FPR again won the Bathurst 1000 in 2014 with Mostert and Paul Morris. And on that weekend of the 2014 Bathurst 1000, Ford announced they would not extend their contract with Ford, the Ford team. and it would end their 17-year relationship with the team. Then that brings us on to 2015. So Ford Performance Racing was renamed as Prodrive Racing Australia, again, as a result of Ford's decision to withdraw from its V8 Supercar program, support by 2016, so last year. The team introduced the Ford FGX Falcon, the first new Falcon since 2009, and a lot of success would come out of it, with Mark Winterbottom winning the 2015 series. And that's the car you see here today. So yeah, a lot of success with the team over the years, and yeah, it's a shame Ford is no longer in the sport as a brand, but the Falcons are still there, and I wouldn't be surprised if a Mustang comes into it soon. But without further ado, let's have a bit of a look at what this car did. In 2015, the team known as Ford Performance Racing had been given a new identity due to the Ford Motor Company ending its factory backing and financial support. The team was rebranded as Prodrive Racing Australia. The team also debuted the new Ford FGX Falcon, and it brought considerable success almost immediately. Winterbottom started his campaign at the Adelaide 500, finishing in the top 10 in both races 1 and 2 on the Saturday. And for Sunday's race, after a poor qualifying result, Winterbottom would finish 5th overall. Winterbottom would also take 4 wins out of the 4 races at the non-championship round of the V8 Supercar Challenge event at the Australian Grand Prix. Prodrive Racing and Winterbottom then achieved 8 race wins in the middle part of the championship, including a clean sweep of the Castrol Edge Townsville 400. This resulted in Winterbottom taking a large championship lead into the endurance races. Driving with Steve Owen, Winterbottom then went on to increase his lead with his 9th win of the season at the Wilson Security Sandown 500, before finishing 2nd at the 2015 Supercheap Auto Bathurst 1000. Despite not winning a race after Sandown, Winterbottom held on to secure the championship. The win would see Prodrive's first championship trophy and Winterbottom's first championship title, and a showdown against Triple Eight driver Craig Lowndes at the final round of the Sydney 500. But after 13 years of trying, Mark Winterbottom had finally become a V8 champion. And now on to the model. Alrighty, so on to the model, but first we'll have a look at the box and certificate details. So we'll start off with the box. So with the Apex Replicars box, you've got the special championship winning box, gold trim, and then you have 2015 championship number 1, and you've got Frosty doing his burnout at the end of the year. So that is the side of the box. Then you've got the top, and underneath it gives you official Prodrive Racing of Australia merchandise, official V8 Supercar merchandise. So yeah, and of course official Ford product. Not anymore, but anyway. So that is the box. Now we'll move on to the certificate. Alrighty, so moving on to the certificate of authenticity. Limited edition of 2,800. I have 1,265. Now it is on there, but the whoever signed the certificates, they've done it in black texture, so I don't know why they didn't use white, but anyway, that's the certificate. Pepsi Max Crew, Apex Replicars, gives you all the information about the driver. Certificate is not signed by Mark Winterbottom, but as always, if you're at a race meeting, you can always get it signed. So that is the certificate. Alrighty, so here we have the Ford Falcon FGX V8 Supercar. So the team introduced the FGX Falcon for the 2015 season, and it would be the first new Falcon, as I said, since 2009 after the long-running FG Falcon. The FGX would be the 7th and last generation of the Ford Falcon made in Australia. But getting back to the race car, so after a slow start to the 2015 season, the team achieved considerable success with the new car. The car started to gain overall speed in the middle of the season, leaving with other teams scratching their heads on how to keep up with the Pepsi Max crew. And this left Winterbottom with a large championship lead entering the final rounds of the championship. And while he didn't win another race until Sandown, he would collect valuable points. And in the end, Winterbottom held on to win his first championship and FPR's first title as well. The last round at the Sydney 500, and that's the car we're looking at here. So starting off with the front of the car, so I have done a review on an Apex Replicars FG Ford Falcon resin model in episode 4. And if you have seen that, you'll know my thoughts on resin models, but this car here, from what I can see, is somewhat an improvement, to be honest, from the previous car. So with the front of the FGX, is one notable thing is the front grille. It looks like a lot more like a Mondeo, or it's even got that Ford Mustang look about it. Even the actual headlights, it's got that, you know, that Mustang American look about it. Don't get me wrong, it's a very mean looking design, and Apex Replicars have done a fantastic job on the tooling. Some of the other little details here, you've got the XR8 logo that Ford used to always run on their cars. So yeah, all the front of the car, you've got all the sponsors, Pepsi Max, Mongrel Boots and all that there. So yeah, the front of the car is not too bad. Now we'll have a look at the bonnet. So with the Apex resin models, well, not just Apex, all resin cars, you're not going to get any opening parts on the model, so I can't show you what's underneath the hood, unfortunately. But some of the details of this car is the tribute to Mark Winterbottom and Ford Performance Racing, as you can kind of see here. You got there, congratulations, 3 years of Pepsi Max crew. What an incredible ride. So yeah, that's just some of the things. I think the team ran this at the last race of the Sydney 500. If I pan out, you've got Frosty's signature, and then you have the 2015 champion, and then you've got Castrol, Pepsi Max, and all the other sponsors. So yeah, unfortunately I can't show you what's underneath the car, since it being a resin model. But over the top, you've got the two aerials there. Another thing that's missing on this car, unfortunately, is the hamburger cam that Fox Sports introduced in 2015. So unfortunately that's missing. Yeah, other than that, it's very nicely done by Apex Replicars with the tribute there for the FPR Falcon. Just a quick side note about Mark Winterbottom. Winterbottom started his career in a Ford, and he's drove nothing but the Ford product. He actually won his first championship in the 2003 Konica V8 Supercar series. That's just like the development series here in Australia. And that was in his debut season. And that was with driving with, I think it was Stone Brothers Racing's old Ford AU Falcon. But he also debuted in the V8 Supercar Championship at the Sandown 500 and the Bathurst 1000 with Stone Brothers Racing. Then he was signed up by Mark Larkham in 2004. And eventually Winterbottom joined Ford Performance Racing, as I said, as the driver of the number 5 Ford Credit Racing Falcon. And this continued Winterbottom's career-long involvement with the Ford product and Ford Australia, from the karting ranks all the way through the lead role with Ford Performance Racing. So moving on to the side of the model, so obviously you got the Pepsi Max logo there. A couple of little things there. You've got the Ford logo for the very last time that they ran on the cars, and you have the Sydney 500 logo. One thing with the new tooling of the Apex FGX compared to the FG is the actual wheels turn. If I lift this up, the actual wheels, they turn, but they actually don't spin. On the FG, they're stationary, so that's just one little improvement. Another thing with the car, I think it actually sits up way too high, to be honest. As you can see, it kind of goes, the rear end stands up too much for my liking. But the front of the car and the way it sits, that looks perfectly fine. And once again, no opening parts for this car. Another thing is the actual wheels are very well detailed. You've got the V8 Supercar or Supercar logo embedded in the wheel. Plus the colour is pretty much spot on, the way they've replicated it. So yeah, that is the side of the car. So one notable thing about the FGX was its massive rear wing. I mean, look at that. That's a big wing. And I think that's what gave FPR advantage in some way in the races in 2015. There was a lot of talk that year about parity and, you know, how the FGX had an aero advantage over other teams. But if you look at last year, the Ford teams kind of struggled a bit. So some other details here. You've got the race cam at the rear. That just showed pictures of the rear from the races. And as I said, there's no hamburger cam, they call it, on the roof, which is a bit disappointing. Then other than that, you got all the logo and sponsorships. You got Apex Replicars there. They're the official license holder to make these cars. Now with my model, it suffers from a little bit of defects and from the decals, which is a bit disappointing. I don't want to muck around with it too much, but some of the see there. So yeah, there's nothing. I suppose I could just put a little bit of glue on it, but other than that, there's some of the wing, the decals coming off, and there's just little bits of defects with the decals, but that's what you get with resin models. So unfortunately, I can't really show you what's inside of the car, because obviously you can't open up the doors. But from what I can see, and if you have this model, you could also see. But the interior is actually well detailed. Actually, there's all like Pepsi Max decals, and overall it doesn't look too bad in the interior. So yeah, so with the detail points covered on the car, I'll give my honest review about this model. First up, quality. So for the quality side, for the Apex Replicars Ford FG Falcon compared to the FG Falcon that I did in a previous episode, the quality has improved a bit, not by much, but a little bit. For a resin model, the decals are not that bad. A few little defects here and there, but the car's overall look, tooling, and its paint job, well, not paint job, but the decals have been very well replicated. So in terms of quality, I'll give 1 thumb up. That brings me on to details. Overall details on the actual livery on this model are very good. Apex have done a good job replicating the Pepsi Max logos and all the other sponsorships and the actual tribute on top of the bonnet. But again, the model is resin based and it's fully sealed. As I said, the interior looks to be pretty well detailed also. Plus the stance of the car looks pretty close to the real thing. However, as I said, the rear does look a bit too tall. So in terms of details, I'll give it half a thumb up. Goods and bads, we'll start with the goods. Well, one thing that I like is the special championship box that Apex Replicars have done. That's a very nice touch, and there's a certificate as well. And overall, as I said, there's a few improvements that have been made from the previous car. So in terms of goods, it's not too bad. But that brings me on the bads. Look, there's a couple of things that I'm not really happy with. One thing is the sealed resin model, no opening parts, no moving parts except for the front wheels. It's missing race cam on the roof, and a few defects with the decals. But look, unfortunately, this is what we have to deal with at the moment with V8 Supercar models, and I guess we just have to live with it. So for bads, yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. Price, this car was going for a retail price of $165. That was last year, I'm pretty sure, in 2016. And I bought this car recently off eBay at auction for a price of $148, not including postage. The model was released back in late November of 2016. Asking price, if you're looking at getting this model at the moment for this car, is going for around the $150 to $199 mark. But yeah, that number will definitely rise over the next few years. eBay price, there's one or two on eBay at the moment. Prices are ranging from the $140 to $100.80 mark. And please don't be silly and pay anything over $300 for this model, because at the moment it's just not worth it. How rare is the car? Or how rare will it be? I would say yes, definitely it would be one day. I think it would be, seeing that it is the last Ford Falcon, or the Australian Falcon, to win a championship. Winterbottom's first championship win for FPR. Ford Australia's last car, as I said, to win the Australian Touring Car Championship. So yeah, there is a number of things that one day will make this car a rare model. I mean, there is only 2,000 something of these units made worldwide, but at the moment it's not a hard car to find. So if you are a FPR collector or a Ford fan or a Winterbottom fan, I would get in early and get one, because you'll definitely need this in your cabinet. But for rarity at the moment, not so much. Car to compare it to. No car to compare it to for today. Apex hold the license to make the Prodrive Racing models. Apex not only released this car here, but there's also the car that Winterbottom won at Winton in 2015. So there is this car here, and then there is the Winton car. But as for the FGX model, I know Bianchi model cars are releasing their version of the FGX this year, which I'm very keen for. Bianchi have the license to make the DGR Team Penske cars for last year and this year, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, one day I'll do a comparison on both cars, but for today, no car to compare it to. Rating out of 10, I'm going to give this a solid 5 out of 10 for this model. So look, with the Apex Replicars Ford FGX, as I said, it has improved a lot compared to the FG model that I've previously reviewed. As I said, the tooling and overall look of the model looks great, there's nothing wrong with that, but in the end, if you buy cheap, you get cheap. And that's what, unfortunately, you get with this model. And still paying $150 for this car is still too high for what you get. And look, if you don't really worry about opening parts, details, or quality and all stuff like that, and you just want it in your shelf just because it's an FPR model or Winterbottom car, then yeah, it's all good. But if you're a passionate collector like myself that has been collecting these things for a long time now, then yeah, you're going to be a bit disappointed. Just a little bit, not too much, but yeah, a little bit disappointed. But look, for a resin model, it's not that bad of a model. So in the end, if you're a passionate collector, I would kind of recommend it to you. So that's it for episode 15 today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, please comment, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And as I said, the next episode will be the last Ford brand car for a while. Then I'll start doing Holden. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, guys. And next time, I'll catch you around next time for another episode of Aussie Diecast Reviews. So catch ya.